People who used to not believe in ghosts but do now. What experience changed your mind? Worked at a public pool. I would work alone after hours cleaning the building and the pool. One night around 2 AM. I'm cleaning the change rooms. The pool has been closed for 4 hours at this time. I hear the sound of a child's laughter and bare feet running across the pool deck. I go out and scan the area. There's nobody in sight. The doors are all closed and locked. There is nowhere a kid could be hiding. No wet footprints on the pool deck. I recheck the doors and the security monitors. I am the only person in the building. It was unsettling. My girlfriend's grandfather's ashes were on a little shelf in the living room, right next to a very solid heavy angel statue. Well, one weekend she and I are fooling around on the living room couch, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the angel statue fly off the wall, accompanied with a deep grunt. Now when I say this thing flew off the wall, I'm talking 7-8 feet of air before landing on the hardwood and leaving a dent where the wing hit. Even if this thing had fell off the wall, it would have dropped straight down, not soared with force. Well, we both stood there in shock, and I whispered if she had heard the grunt as well, to which she agreed. So we both booked it for the day. Well, that night at dinner we told her parents what happened, leaving out the naughty bit, and Megan's younger sister burst into tears saying she had seen a dark figure at the foot of her bed the last couple's nights but didn't want anyone to think she was crazy. Grandfather that died had mental health issues that caused a lot of pain. Welp, after that day I was a believer. My wife and I swear that our daughter used to talk to ghosts when she was a toddler. She was an only child at the time. First instance I remember was her telling me that she was talking to Nana. That's what I called my grandmother, who passed about 15 years before my daughter was born. My daughter was young and so I hadn't even talked about Nana to her. So I showed her a picture and asked who she spoke to. There were 4 women, 3 of which I didn't even know. But without hesitation she pointed to my Nana. Okay, no biggie. Some months later, my wife and I are trying for baby number 2. After my wife gets pregnant, my daughter is sitting next to her on the couch and puts her head on her belly and says, "Mommy, there's a baby in there." Okay, maybe that's coincidence. She overheard us saying something. A few weeks later, my wife miscarries. Maybe my daughter picked up on our sadness. Who knows? But she again puts her head on her stomach and says, "Mommy, there's no baby in there anymore." Then, several months and one more, very early, miscarriage later, my daughter tells us, "I was talking to my brother last night and he said that my sister is coming to live with me soon." Again. She's an only child and had no living brother. We were still trying at this point, but had not taken any tests. We picked one up that night, and sure enough, pregnant. When time came to reveal the gender, I wasn't even interested. My daughter had already said it was a girl. Sure enough, I have 2 daughters. I have a story. So in high school, I worked kids' birthday parties. The place was basically a giant gym, and gymnastics dance classes were also held there. One day, I came in, and one of the girls I worked with, who was very spiritual and very religious, was totally freaked out. During the gymnastics class she taught that morning, one of the kids was staring up at the ceiling. When she asked the kid what he was doing, he said there's a little boy up there and pointed at the ceiling. Strange enough, but whatever. Kids are weird. Later, 2 girls who were working a birthday party before mine came out of the gym and were visibly shaken. A pair of 5-year-old twins went down a slide and then stared at the ceiling. They both said that there was a little boy up there, in the same spot on the ceiling that the kid from the morning gymnastics class. We all went in and inspected the ceiling. Of course, it was just a regular, grey, warehouse-wide ceiling. But we were all super freaked out at that point. During my party, I was pushing a little boy on the giant swing we had in the gym. He, too, began to stare at the ceiling. He said directly to my face, "Hey, there's a little boy up there." We told all of our co-workers and managers about the 3 separate experiences we had today with children from different parties and classes seeing a little boy on the ceiling. The next day, we had downtime between parties. And nobody was in the gym. There are cameras in the gym that allow parents to see their children playing from the lobby. My manager called us out of the break room. Guys, check this out. We come out and see the screen, which is streaming from the gym, showing that giant swing going back and forth. Nobody's in there. It's just the swing going. I like to think that the ghost was truly a little boy who just wanted to play. And he finally got to go on the swing. Could be worse. At least he waited his turn. Very polite ghost. I was always on the fence about ghosts because there was no scientific evidence of them being real, and I was going through a big question phase with religion after life at the time anyway. But my family moved into an old farmhouse when I was 12. This was a very old farmhouse with a build date around the Civil War. The original owner's name was still on the old barn out back, and we found numerous old antiques built into the walls when we completely renovated the place. A few odd and end things happened after we first moved in. But distinct things started happening to myself after I turned 16. But never to my sister until after she turned 16 too. The most prominent memory I have? The upstairs consisted of 2 bedrooms. One bedroom was the room at the top of the stairs. The second bedroom was in a separate room just to the left of the top of the stairs. I had the private room and my sister's room was the landing. When someone walked up the stairs it was very distinct. You could hear each individual step and the creaks got louder as the person approaching got closer. So one night I am sitting on my bed watching TV or something and I hear my sister come up the steps and go lay on her bed, so I start talking to her. When she doesn't answer me I get annoyed and go into her room to figure out what her problem is, only she is not in there. My mind was blown because I know I heard her. I call for her and she had been downstairs the entire time. We never felt threatened. But it did seem that this entity liked picking only on women. Even my mother, who absolutely doesn't believe in ghosts, had to admit some odd things had happened. I think the funniest thing was having my ponytail pulled while I was doing the dishes. I don't know why it was so funny. It just cracked me up that whatever it was felt like playing with my hair. So my grandma used to live with me. She was in the room next to mine and would get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, which is in my room. There is drop from her room to mine, so we put a night light outside the bathroom so she could see the way. It was like this for about 12 years. Only a few days after she had passed away I was in my bed with my cat and dog reading a book or something. I remember my cat and dog both waking up and looking to the night light. My cat got up and went to the light, pawing at it and making nosies. My dog just stayed still, not barking. I would grab him so he would calm down or go to sleep, but he never took his eyes off that spot. That's when I saw what I can only say looked like light bend around the night light. I was positive it was my grandma coming back to use the bathroom and or check on me in the house. To this day, she died about 5 years ago. I still have that night light there and turn it on every night for her. I haven't seen her or experienced anything like it again, but I'm sure she's still around. When I was about 10-14 I had terrible insomnia. I would imagine things felt incredibly unsafe, as though I was being watched, although I never admitted this to anyone. I began only sleeping on the couch, with my back against the wall, and had to have a TV or some sort of light on. I missed an immense amount of school because of this, so my mom had me see a neurologist. The neurologist diagnosed me with some things, but the crazy part was during my sleep study I slept amazingly well. No issues at all and slept in the real bed. Eventually I got transferred to a children's hospital, and speaking to the doctor I explained I would see things and felt uncomfortable. They had thought I was experiencing sleep paralysis. When they told my mom, she went ghost white. She pulled me aside and explained she was experiencing things too. She described in detail what I was seeing. That evening she approached my brother, asked broad questions. Do you have anything weird happen in home? Etc. He also described what we experienced. It was then I realized we must have paranormal activity. I've believed it ever since. When we moved out of that house all my sleep issues abruptly stopped and I haven't experienced it since. In 2011 I was studying abroad in Morocco. We were staying in a riad in the Medina of Marrakesh with tall, ornate windows. I had one roommate who was already asleep this night. I thought I saw her sitting up in the bed next to me wearing all white. Suddenly I saw a white, hazy thing vaguely shaped like a person floating above me next to the big windows. I was so scared I went in the bathroom, turned the light on and stayed in the bathtub all night. My roommate didn't see anything. I feel bad for laughing, but all I could think of was you clutching a shampoo bottle or hairbrush and rocking back and forth in the bathtub while looking around all paranoid. I was 8 when my grandma died. I was sad. So around 2 months passed and I was going at grandma's house where my grandpa lives. So I wake up at 3 AM and hear footsteps from bedroom door. I froze. I saw my grandma walking up to me and she said hello little sweetie and walked away. It was not sleep paralysis because I could move my hands and feet. At morning I told to my grandpa about it and he said I've seen grandma almost every night. She likes to visit. So don't be scared next time when you visit. I was staying in the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. CO, the hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Shining. Around 1 AM I heard what sounded like children running up and down the hallways interspersed with laughter. Opened the door to see what the hell was going on. And didn't see anything. Quick little buggers, I thought. Then the next morning when Miso and I took a tour of the building, the guide stopped directly in front of our room to tell us the story of young girls whose ghosts can be heard running up and down that same hallway. I saw a reflection of myself at the end of a hallway in a friend's apartment building. Only he told me the day after there was never any mirror in the hallways. Still confuses me to this day. I was visiting my mother after my dad died. She went shopping with her sister and left me alone. I heard my dad as plain as day up in his room. He got up from his computer chair, walked over to the door and opened it. He walked down the stairs and stood on the last step for a few seconds before walking back up to his room and closing the door. I was probably 5 feet from him in the living room. I just froze. It scared the hell out of me. I'll be right there. God. I just gotta clean out this hard drive and search history before anyone else can see what I was into. Once when I was in university I went to go see my therapist whom I had been seeing twice a week for about 5 months. On this day he was uncharacteristically quiet and I asked him if he was alright. He said he was fine. And we continued through what would be one of our most breakthrough sessions. A lot of repressed memories came up through it that have helped me to heal. At the end of the session I asked him why he was acting differently today than other days. He said when I walked in I was accompanied by a warrior-like person. He said he had the overwhelming feeling to perform as best he professionally could that day. And that he got the sense this warrior had fought a lot of battles to protect me. This would seem coincidental. Except for 10 years later I was living on the other side of the world. I had a Puerto Rican neighbor I would see occasionally and eventually got pretty close with him and his family. One day as I was walking by he kind of gets quiet and weird and then says in broken English, "Do you know there is a soldier who follows you around?" I knew instantly who he was talking about. In both instances the warrior soldier was described the same. Just over 6 feet. Blonde curly hair. Wearing primitive warrior clothing. And strangely a white guy. Neither of these people could have known that my closest brother who passed away at 14 was over 6 feet tall with blonde curly hair. And always was my protector.